I guess. I don't know if you've heard what we've been talking about or not. This is Jake.
No, I'm Skip.
That's Skip.
For now.
For now. We'll see how things change.
Hey, how soon is now?
Bend over and I'll show you.
Oh, boy. I was hoping you could say, well, like, it's indeterminate because there's a light that never goes out, or, anything along those lines would have been fine.
I'm sorry, I can't talk right. My girlfriend's in a coma, so...
Don't pull the plug. Meat is murder.
Frankly, Mr. Shankly. No, we really want to get Smithsified. That's the preeminent band that I truly love, but I have to disengage because
of
the
Morrissey?
Lead singer sucks. If I didn't have the Smiths, I don't know how I would have made it through high school. So
yeah, Morrissey is Elliott Smith sans the whimsy. That's a joke you'll get if you listen to more Elliott Smith.
That's a downer.
Yeah. Van Morrissey is not one of my favorite bands.
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Are they in the proper approach pattern for today?
Negative.
Hold weapons! Now! Charge the lightning field.
Anyway, today we are back on our diddlin' tweak vibe as we explore the digital realm of entertainment. Video games, as it were.
Oh, by that I mean video games.
The way everyone described video games.
Digital entertainment.
I feel like I'm hawking like the next Atari system in 1983.
A complete virtual video game experience.
It's the future of human interaction.
The Sega Activator.
This one has 2 buttons and a stick.
And the stick goes straight up your ass. Did you ever see the Sega Activator?
No, I don't think so.
It's an octagon you stand in, and instead of a controller, whatever plane of side that you break is your control.
Okay.
And so, like, the idea was that you were supposed to use it for fighting games so you could actually do the physical maneuvers.
Right, yeah.
But nobody did that because why would you do that? So you're just, like, trying to break these planes real fast with your hands instead of pushing buttons. Didn't work out very well.
That's some fucking Lawnmower Man shit right there.
I know. I was so excited. One of the malls in the Kansas City area was holding an Activator tournament with Mortal Kombat 2. And I was like, I begged my dad to take me.
What a bad idea.
I was like, I have been practicing my ninja karate moves.
My gym kata?
Yes, my gym kata. I am going to take this thing by storm. And so I was like super excited about it, dressed up in like, workout clothes so I could really take it to whoever. And I was going to fucking
take it to the limit?
Yeah, I was going to, yep. Then we got there, and it turns out it was actually just a Mortal Kombat tournament to win a Sega Activator. And I looked like a dumbass.
Well, it wouldn't be the last time in your life, so.
No, not even with video games. Not even with Mortal Kombat 2.
All right, put a pin in those. We'll revisit another dark time in Skip's life.
Dark Times at the Fun Factory. Name of our first album.
Dark Times at the Fun Factory.
Of course, our band is Grant Morrissey.
I love it.
Or Van Morrissey. I can't really decide which,
Well.
but they're both pretty good.
As long as we kill our boyfriend, that's all that matters.
One's anti-vaxxer and one's not.
Wait, is Van Morrison?
Oh, big time. He and Clapton went on an anti-vax tour.
Oh, wow. Clapton I knew, but I didn't know Van Morrison was still alive, so.
Everybody who made fun of me for having an anti-Clapton stance. Now I am validated. He is an asshole. Like I've always said.
Oh, he is, yeah. No, I'm imagining like 12-year-old Skip being like, Eric Clapton's an asshole.
He is. He stole fucking George Harrison's wife. It was just an example of how he's an asshole.
I don't know. I don't get into like a Hollywood music scene. Everybody's fucking everybody. It's,
The Hollywood music.
It is what it is.
Van Morrison and Clapton are British. What are you talking about?
I'm saying Hollywood and music, that everybody is sleeping with everybody.
I don't think they all hang out at the same club or anything.
Are you saying that people sleeping with other people's wives and relationships kind of going haywire within the music scene, especially between 1940 and 1990, wasn't constantly happening all the time?
You're acting like all these people know each other. It's not like there's one giant Thunderdome Max's Kansas City where they all hang out.
Yeah.
Mick Jagger and, what was the other one? There's two of them.
Mick Jagger and Dick Jagger.
Dick is imagine it's like Knight Rider when there was that evil Michael Knight and the evil in Knight Rider, so there was the evil Michael Knight who was just Michael Knight but with a mustache, and
very mirror of them.
His name was Garth. And then he drove a giant black semi-truck named Goliath. But then
that's cool.
Kit had its own mirror doppelganger called Carr, Karr. It was the lore to his Data. Carr was to Kit. He came before, but was flawed and evil. And so they got rid of it and created Kit. This is some deep shit. This is deep geek shit right here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're way past my normal boundaries of Knight Rider lore.
I'm literally looking at a David Hasselhoff Michael Knight action figure on my shelf right now. Where did I get it? I don't know.
You know, if you win an arm wrestling competition against a 75-year-old, 110-pound man, you could be the Knight Rider scholar of the universe.
I could, but only if I wore my FUBAR tank top.
Yeah, you got to drink some motor oil. But it's not about
FUBAR.
Skip's Mortal Kombat, Sad Dreams, Eric Clapton, Hatred, or FUBARing for the Michael Knight.
Custody of, wasn't that Elliot from E.T.?
Yes, he was also the Dabney Coleman, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger, great movie, completely underrated film.
I don't know about great movie, but
it's a fantastic concept that is completely never talked about. People talk about war games, we don't talk about Cloak and Dagger.
It's vastly underseen, I would give you that.
It is underseen.
But I also haven't seen it in decades, so
I really haven't either, yeah.
I mean, was he stealing did he have, like...
It was a video game cartridge with secrets in it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then the video game was Cloak and Dagger.
And they couldn't just shoot that kid and take it?
Oh, they tried. Well, they tried to kill the kid, for sure. There was that old couple that tried to kidnap him.
Yeah, well, don't send a fucking 70-year-old couple to go murder a kid.
Lived and learned, you know? We've all been there.
That's why they made a whole movie about it.
And then Dabney Coleman goes on to be a successful CEO in a major company, and it's poisoned by Dolly Parton. So we never know where we're going to end up.
It's either going to be a 9 or 5, somewhere in between.
Got to fit that in with Drexel's class. Oh, that's
Drexel's?
a deep...
I don't.
Really?
I don't.
Nobody?
All right, we have to...
It was head of the class, but it starred Dabney Coleman, essentially.
I don't know that at all.
I've seen all of TV!
All the worst TV.
Yeah, I'm going to start dropping Herman's Head references here in a second.
It's got Jason Biggs in it and Brittany Murphy?
I told you it was a show!
I told you it was a show, but you said nothing about Jason Biggs or Brittany Murphy being in it.
Well, do I have to? Does anybody?
Yes, that is required by law. Okay. Have you ever heard of Rags to Riches?
The cliche? Yeah, totally.
No, the show.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but I don't know it.
All right. So that's an iffy. What about Just the 10 of Us?
Yes, I've heard of that.
What about Alf Loves a Mystery? What is that?
Oh, they tried to reboot Alf several times. That one, and then...
TV movie?
He had a late-night talk show. Alf is back in Pog form.
Yeah, well, one of those is viable and the other one isn't.
Don't tell that to your local Republican congressman.
My Alf, my choice.
All Alfs are sacred. Alf begins at conception.
Alf show started at fertilization, my friend.
Come on. It's just the random associations in my head. Do the show. Just do the fucking show.
just do the show. All right, so that was the episode. We hope you all liked it.
Bye. That's 41 minutes of content. Why not?
Oh, fuck. All right, let's do a tight 30 on this bad boy.
Show you a tight 30. What?
I wish.
A dirty 30, huh?
That's when you put syrup on top. Okay, Skip.
Uh-huh.
What is your favorite part after a movie comes out?
Part of what?
Everything. Life. Experience.
Life, the universe,
humanity. The Q continuum. What's your favorite part?
You know, that moment where we all hold hands across every nation around the world and chant in harmony.
Hey, not everything can be Pacific Rim 2. This has to be realistic. What your favorite thing about a movie is after it's come out and they make a video game about it. Obviously.
Oh, I forgot that was my favorite thing. Thank you for reminding me.
That's what you keep saying. That's your favorite thing.
That was my favorite part about Deep Throat.
We already did that section of video games, so...
And then Howard Stern's Private Parts was my favorite part of that.
I bet they made a Private Parts video game.
Where you control the Sibian or whatever. And then, let's see, it was my absolute favorite part about Syriana.
I could see, you got to pull the nails out properly. And
loved the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest video game adaptation.
So anyway, there are... video game adaptations.
The Brown Bunny, one of my all-time favorite video game adaptations.
Good.
Sophie's Choice is one of the most fun. Like, you only have 2 buttons.
That one was a good Atari game, honestly.
Yeah, you have 2.
Stick between left, right, left, right, left, right.
What are you going to pick? Which one?
But if you were to play that video game, there'd be the clear choice. Because this is how the movie went, okay? This Rocky, you play as Rocky. Yeah, well, you lose at the end, actually. But something about video games that can change is it's an interactive art form. Mm-hmm. Is that you are part of the story being told. When you make a video game based off a movie, you can change how that story is told. So in your version of the Rocky video game, maybe you do win that final fight with Apollo Creed.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Skip, do you remember how Scarface goes, the movie Scarface?
Yeah, Al Capone finally gets taken down. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong, you're just an asshole.
He's referring to, of course, to the Brian De Palma Scarface, the extremely racist brown-faced movie Scarface, but it is a remake of a movie called Scarface about Al Capone, just so people know from context.
It is. It's a loose, you know...
An equal number of Italians in both, but some are in brown face in one.
I mean, I'd say other than people nicknamed Scarface that are into illicit substances and doing crime films about them, I think that's probably where the similarities end. But
well, so you've got Scarface, the original, then that Scarface, and then the Batman villain.
Oh, yeah.
The puppet? Yeah, that's Scarface.
Anyway, so can you tell me how the 1983 Scarface film goes?
Well, yeah, sure. Okay, so here's the outline as I remember it. Now, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. The end, right?
Well, how does it end? Do you remember that?
Well, that's...
Spoilers, obviously.
He gets his little friend to meet the new kids on the block, and then they all go out for ice cream.
They fuck your father in the shower and have a sandwich. You're going to book me, asshole.
Is that Tommy Lasorda? Tommy
Lasorda.
He's an idiot, and his hubris is his downfall. He fucks it up badly.
But the 2006 game Scarface, The World Is Yours, posits.
All right.
In the 1983 Scarface movie, Tony Montana...
You're just as Latino as he is.
Say hello to my little video game.
F. Murray Abraham, famous Latino.
Okay, so Tony Montana, he's attacked by armed mercenaries from the Bolivian cocaine kingpin Alejandro Sosa. That's when he has to say hello to my little friend, shoot some hitmen. They're invading his compound, but of course he is riddled with bullets in his indoor balcony. And Tony...
Riddle me this, Scarface.
What goes in but never comes out?
Well, not this bullet. It's a clean shot.
And so he's finished off. But when they made this video game, obviously the video game you want to make, because let's have people play as Tony Montana, they decided we don't want him to die at the end and lose. I mean, in most stories, when you die, you lose as the main character, right? Mm-hmm. Skip, would you play that video I sent to you?
Yeah, let me pull that bad boy up here. Let's see. Still calling it Twitter.
It's X.
It's X, my fucking asshole.
That is the whole URL if you type it in properly.
That was his business plan. Well, all right, I'm going to push play. There we go. Okay, he's grabbing the guns.
Oh, we don't need to hear it.
Well, you probably heard this. Shooting the guns and everything. That weird squat he does, yeah. Blows a hole in the door.
Well, it's
and
got to go. As you see in this game.
So he wins?
Yes. So I'm showing Skip the final scene of this particular... Well, it's not necessarily the end of the video game. But in the final scene of the film, the mercenaries come in and they shoot Tony. In the video game, you, as Tony... You survive the video game, and you murder all of them with such things as your Tony Rage that comes on. Assume cocaine-fueled.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't be hurt or murdered for a period of time.
Oh, is that what's her name on the ground? Yeah, that was his lover. What's her name?
Yes, Catwoman.
Oh, wait, what?
Batman Returns Catwoman.
Oh, it's young Michelle Pfeiffer. That's right.
It is.
I was thinking of Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. It doesn't matter. Continue. Don't worry. So you now get to take over where the video game or the movie ends, and you can take this into your own hands?
Right. So instead of dying at the climactic scene of the film, in this version, you then kill all the mercenaries, and then you go on to infiltrate Sosa's compound in Bolivia.
What the fuck?
You are armed to the teeth. Of course, you plow through waves of henchmen, laying profanities and insults just as freely as you were shooting bullets. You eventually kill Sosa, sparing only one of his henchmen to be his butler. The final shot of the game is a far happier one as Tony, you, are now sitting in a jacuzzi with your girlfriend, more powerful and ruling the cocaine empire like no one else.
Well, that's not Scarface. That's just like a weird fan reimagining of Scarface.
That's right. It is. And it's almost like it's missing the whole fucking point.
It's missing the entire point of the thing.
Yes, this is sometimes what happens occasionally when people make video games about movies. They completely lose track of what the whole idea of the film is in their quest to make it an interactive, quote, enjoyable story for the player. And by having Tony win, what are you trying to say there?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if there were a Titanic video game and then the boat doesn't sink. Or like in Weird Al's movie UHF when they did Gandhi 2 and he orders a steak and he shoots all those guys with a machine gun. What are you talking about? Like, you've completely missed the point.
Or perhaps in the 2006 video game Jaws Unleashed.
Oh, no.
Where, no, you're not playing as one of the poor residents of Amity Island. Or perhaps one of the theme park people in Jaws the Revenge. No, you play the shark.
Wow, that is a weird commentary.
Your idea is to, of course, play the 35-foot great white shark and eat as many people as you can. Essentially, it's set 30 years after the events of the first film. There's a company called Environ Plus that is there to improve the island's economy. With the increased population around the island, industrial activity has also attracted the great white shark.
Great white hope.
When Environ Plus CEO is eaten, Shaw hires the renowned shark hunter Cruz Raddock to track down and kill the shark. Meanwhile, marine biologist Michael Brody, yes, that Brody from the film franchise, tries to capture the shark for research. During this time, you play the shark. You kill divers and swimmers on the beach, and you have to destroy a set of docks. Brody shows up, captures the shark, and transport him to a marine theme park similar to SeaWorld, a la Jaws 3. Jaws 3D, rather.
Or Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah. So, of course, the shark breaks out and
does a song and dance routine.
The shark escapes from its holding tank, destroys the water park. In one of the exhibit tanks, the shark kills the resident orca. Sad. That would have been great to have them fight each other.
So, hold on. Do you know why? I can guarantee you this right now. Do you know why they put that in there? It's because Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws,
right,
one of his only other successful stories, books / movies, was Orca, about a giant killer whale.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's why they did that. And unfortunately, they're picking on poor Shamu. who had it so well. It's such a
he's
great
had it
life.
Too good for too long.
It's about time they cut him down to size.
So you find out that because of the Environ Plus, that sharks become more aggressive and attack humans.
It's one of the subscriptions that I gotta cancel. I don't see any good on Environ Plus.
The shark then goes to a beach party in the middle of the night and attacks swimmers.
Changes his name to Jabberjaw and then joins a surf band.
Oh no! So then a truck starts throwing explosive barrels in the water, and the shark has to grab one and throws it into a pipeline filled with oil.
What? This isn't Echo the Dolphin. What the hell is this going on?
The barrel explodes, causing a chain reaction as the oil ignites that causes the entire Environ Plus refinery to catch fire and collapse into the ocean. After this causes more carnage, such as destroying an underwater facility, the shark destroys an oil shipment and kills Shaw and the mayor by ramming his yacht into a barge with fireworks.
Okay, so far I am totally with Jaws at this point.
Yeah.
Not only playing as him, and not in like a cynical way, like he's a hero in this version.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is, I guess, one good thing about this is that it gives the shark a reason, I guess, to kill wantonly.
That's interesting because I feel like based on these examples, there could be like a cynical take on these stories where you are the previous antagonist or the tragic character or whatever, and you play out the nefarious possibility of that character in a really negative and destructive way. But unlike with Scarface, the narrative they've set up isn't where you just go around and eat people. Don't bite down on, oxygen tanks or whatever. Instead, you actually go and do good. Actual good.
Except for, like, eating all the people and the swimmers.
I mean, sure, he's still a shark. Yes, granted. But, I mean, like, blowing up horrible environmental polluters and greedy capitalists. Okay, yeah. All right, why not? That's great.
Yeah. I mean, there's cool stuff. There's also, you only have 2 meters on the shark. You have a health bar and a hunger bar. Because the shark constantly has to be eating.
So it's a little cynical still. Yeah, all right.
Oh, yeah. But it's distinctly saying that, no, the shark doesn't. It's taking the shark, which is the villain of all of those films, and turning it into the protagonist, who's actually doing some good for things. You're also not killing the shark, and you're trying to survive as the shark, as opposed to what all those movies are doing, which is killing the shark.
Right. So, like, really, if they wanted to do this, I guess, I don't want to say the right way, because I don't know if there's a right way to do it, but you would think that in either of these scenarios, eventually, with Scarface or with Jaws, you would, no matter what you did, still lose at the end, right? Like, you'd get shot or one way or another, no matter what. Even if it's a choose your own adventure, you would still end up dying. And dying the villain / martyr or whatever, however you want to take it. But doing it where you could win, that seems short-sighted and kind of dumb, right? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool. Yeah, let's say you do have a Jaws game and you play out all of the things in the game are the things that happen in the movie, and you decide to take different choices. But either way, eventually you end up dying because you're this giant shark killing innocent people. But that's not what happens in that game, right?
No. Eventually, people assume that the shark is dead, and the shark is revealed to be alive and begins to follow a helicopter, a Coast Guard helicopter whose Brody is on and fleeing away.
Running away from the Swedish encampment in the Arctic. Like,
speaking of which,
oh my God, no!
So in the Thing video game from 2002, this one isn't as much a deviation from the film, but more the mythos of the Thing,
like the quote remake. Which is not a remake. It's a prequel. The remake
it's a requel. But this takes place after the events of The Thing. And there's always been the final scene, there's always been the question, well, is one of them the Thing? Are they going to survive? What's going on? And the Thing video game answers that question.
Oh, good.
Yeah, great.
Take all the mystery out of it. Great.
Yeah. So in that video game, you're a team who's called in, like, they've lost contact with the science base, and you have to go check it out. So it's like, check
it out. Dun, dun.
You and your crew, they go. Supposedly, it sounds pretty cool. Like, it has mechanics that kind of make you suspicious of the other players you're playing with. I don't know. I haven't played it, but it sounded interesting.
I heard it's hard to play.
Might be. I'm not sure about that. But I can tell you that it opens and you get there as a team member and that you find Childs is frozen apparently human and dead. MacReady is not there. MacReady in the game turns out to still be human. He's someone who shows up and helps out later in the game.
Okay.
But in a similar way, it's giving some definitive realignment of where that film ends on.
But I like the ambiguity of the ending of that movie.
Yes, but you're doing a video game, you got to do your own thing and tell your own story, right?
Do your own research. That's all I'm saying. Not just asking questions.
Aliens Colonial Marines from 2013.
Mm-hmm.
This is another story where this is about more Marines who were sent to help out. The Sulaku seems to have been kaput, and so they go to find out what happened with them. Of course, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is behind things, and they find that, I believe, Hicks is alive in this video game because you're trying to, like, save him.
Okay, so that's different than the...
It's different than what happens to Alien 3, where at the beginning of the film, Hicks is dead.
And so is Newt, and so is Jonesy, and that was all cheap. I didn't like it.
Well, there's a lot of problems with Aliens 3.
Oh, there's a billion problems. If you've ever read some of the original concepts, they don't, in fact, live on a wooden planet. It's like the Arbors from Flash Gordon.
Yeah, no, that's that
Arborea
is wildly different. You have other similar video games that do kind of similar, like the Godfather video game, which is kind of a GTA clone. You play as this character who kind of nigh unbeatable, and you take over the story from the movie characters.
Well, okay, so with that kind of scenario, I feel like that's a little different because if you have a narrative and we know how it plays out in the film, and you're a new character and you can interact and change that narrative, I feel like that's different than an already established or main character in the original narrative changing. I feel like that's a different scenario. Like if you were going to say these were genres, I think that could be a different type of that game.
I mean, I guess, but you're taking over story beats and like placing the Corleone stuff with your character's actions.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I like that more than changing the actual narrative with the already established characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get that.
It's like if Blade Runner 2049 hadn't come out and then they came out with the Blade Runner game and you play as Kay, I would at least find that more interesting because then you could be a new character exploring new parts of the world.
Right.
And maybe you're even affecting the narrative that we see on screen, but it's because you're a different element in that universe. That's at least more interesting.
You might find maybe what happens in the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith video game from 2005.
I guarantee you it's already better than the movie.
So, again, you can play as Anakin in this, and there is a definitive way the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan has the high ground. You shouldn't step to that, Mr. Kin, because you're going to get your stuff chopped. But...
These are quotes from the movies.
In this video game, you can change that. There is an alternate ending that you can play in that Mustafarian duel where you stab Obi-Wan through the chest and you kill him. And after that, you don't wait for 20 years in the Death Star. You just go and kill Palpatine right then and there, and you become ruler of the universe.
Okay, so... why? I mean, this is a problem with the prequels in general, the lack of actual, genuine, logical motivation. But then, if you kill Obi-Wan, isn't it because you're on the Palpatine side? I mean, that doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Well, I think two. One, it's definitive Sith lore that the apprentice kills the master and becomes the new master.
Yeah, well, he did that when he killed Obi-Wan.
Well, no, at that point, his master is Sidious.
Right, that character that no one ever addresses ever again.
Well, Sidious is Palpatine, so...
What? Wait, is he the Phantom Menace?
Spoiler alert.
To this day, no one can tell us who the Phantom Menace is.
Prequels.
So, I know that's the problem. The prequels are already narratively flawed. So if you're going to change things up, if you're going to do that, just make it during Clone Wars and do a whole Clone Wars fight, which would be really interesting. And then don't kill all those kids for no reason.
You got to kill the kids.
He's like, oh my God, you mangled Samuel L. Jackson, who may or may not be dead. Guess I better kill children. What the fuck are you talking about?
Dark side.
The DC villain?
He's the problem. It's the anti-life equation. That's what does it.
It's the mega beams.
Granny Goodness told me to do it, so I had to.
She's the anti-Yoda.
Yeah, so again, it's kind of missing the point of the Star Wars story.
Completely.
And feeling the need to tell your own story. A somewhat fascinating, weird turn of events, but odd and wrongish nonetheless. But in comparison, our final video game we will discuss today, and this video game never came out.
Played it.
This is, okay, don't read any of the text here, Skip. Okay, just click on this video. Again, don't read any of the text.
I won't. I don't read.
Good call. It's bad for you. Puts thoughts in your head.
Start questioning the status quo. All right. It is now playing.
Now, what does it say?
Someday a railway will come and wash this scum away off the streets. Oh my God, no. No.
What are you seeing, Skip?
No. You cannot.
That is right.
You cannot do this.
What Skip is witnessing was the never-to-be Taxi Driver video game.
No, you can't do this.
That was in development for quite a while. So this was a video game that was announced in 2005. Obviously, somewhat of a sequel to the 1976 neo-noir film from Martin Scorsese. This was to be made by Majesco Entertainment, a somewhat distinguished distributor at the time, and Papaya Studio, a bit smaller scale, lesser known company.
For good reason.
So this is coming around 2005, 2006, which is kind of the end of the relevancy of PlayStation 2 and Xbox. And video game makers were trying to find the best avenue because GTA San Andreas became the highest selling video game in 2004 and everybody loved it. And so within the years after that, you had The Godfather, Scarface, The Warriors, The Sopranos, all of these pseudo FPS third-person shooter games based off of existing television and film properties.
See, The Warriors, I think, would work as an open world thing. That'd be fine.
Yeah, and that whole game tells you the story of how the Warriors came to be together.
Oh, okay.
And it ends about where the film starts.
Okay, all right.
So again, that's cool world building, but it's not going against the idea or the ethos of the movie at all.
Sure, exactly.
But in this video game that it didn't quite get made, it picks up not too long after the end of the first one of the film.
Before the prequel to Taxi Driver.
It's kind of a what-if scenario of what if Travis Bickle lived? And I believe in this game, he has a woman named Betsy that he's become infatuated with. Of course, is unable to court. When she's murdered by the mob, Travis goes on a vengeful rampage across New York City. So it becomes an open-world Travis Bickle game.
No.
It's described kind of like Grand Theft Auto 3, but without any of the police chases, where you just go around doing the worst, most violent executions and driving around in your taxi to murder the scum and filth. Be they, I don't know, pimps and pushers, or maybe just black people that you don't like. Who's to say?
Yeah.
On his Punisher rampage.
Does Scorsese drop the N-word in this?
Well...
Oh, God, please don't answer yes.
This weird power fantasy that would super appeal to incels of today, it didn't make it to... So it got to varying levels of production. There were early playable demo versions of this. After the game was signed with Sony, they'd reached out to get De Niro to sign on to voice Travis Bickle. And although there were 6 months of negotiation where he didn't really seem to be into it, he did agree to provide some limited voiceover for the game. But it wouldn't end up mattering because it didn't quite come to fruition.
Good. Don't make this at all.
And it's not because the people trying to make the video game, it was more in the politics around it, because both Scorsese and Paul Schrader, the writer of Taxi Driver, had finally caught wind of this becoming, the deal for this being part of the, quote, total entertainment experience, as Sony had described it. And they made it a point to stop this game from ever becoming a reality.
Good. Also, that's not how shotguns work. You blew up a whole car.
Yeah. So apparently they had found out that 30 years previous, in order to get Taxi Driver made, they had signed away the rights to all media known and unknown now and in the future.
So in virtual reality, we're finally going to get a VR porn version of where you go to that porn theater.
A lot of couples do it, so no problem.
That's your first date. You have to decide whether or not to go to the porn theater with Sybil Shepherd.
So officially, Scorsese and Schrader didn't have any power to stop this project, but unofficially, they could still do things. Dan Kitchen tells a story about how he got a call several months into game development. Shortly after De Niro had been signed on to voice, he said, I received a call from Mark Kaplan stating that we received a call from Martin Scorsese today. He's very unhappy with the licensing deal for Taxi Driver. He doesn't want the film to be made into a video game. If you continue with the game, he'll make sure you never license another title in Hollywood.
Wow.
He hung up the phone, went straight into the office for Jesse Sutton, that's the Majesco president, and said, Marty doesn't want us to release Taxi Driver. We have to cancel it today.
Wow.
In 2005, De Niro revealed in an interview that there had been talks of the Taxi Driver sequel with Scorsese attached to direct once more, and this could have been one of the reasons why they decided to stop the video game from happening, but that's just speculation. While it was in some form of limbo, Majesco, again, the major contributor to the finances and the production of it, would end up facing some financial trouble towards the end of 2005. Two big releases of that summer of that year, Advent Rising and Psychonauts, had failed commercially.
Yeah.
This, along with their other company doing poorly, and caused Majesco to go in a different direction, because Majesco started to focus on lower budget handheld titles like Cooking Mama,
Which I've played.
Cooking Mama 2, Dinner with Friends,
Throw Mama from the train.
Gardening Mama,
Seen it? Yep.
and Hulk Hogan Main Event,
A Hulk Hogan Mama.
which were their last games before they stopped publishing games in totality. Papaya Studios would dissolve in 2013 and were strangely tough to get any information on or get in touch with. They'd all dissolved long ago.
Wow.
Papaya Studios would end up suing Majesco for breach of contract in the late 2005, likely over the sudden cancellation of Taxi Driver, and they would settle in 2007 and transfer video game assets developed under their contract over to Papaya.
Wow. The fruit, papaya.
The fruit papaya. But as you can see, it did get somewhat into production.
Oh, yeah.
However, insane, the idea for making a Taxi Driver video game where you play as Travis Bickle,
That is
going out and fulfilling Travis Bickle's worst desires and impulses.
losing the thread there, man. You know what? Even with Scorsese properties, better video games based on Scorsese would be Kings of New York.
Cool.
I would rather watch a game where you play as Jimmy Hoffa, escaping the Irishman, or Shutter Island, because that kind of just would go on forever. Those would all suck, but they'd be so much better than a Taxi Driver game
Well, I think it's twofold. A, they didn't understand the point of the game
movie.
and just wanted a vehicle to provide a violent outlet for video game players that had some type of IP attached to it.
Right.
Or B, they truly just didn't give a shit and it was just about making money, and they saw this as an easy avenue.
Well, I feel like it's, I don't know. I don't even know if it's that black and white. I feel like maybe it's more like a Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie where they feel like they have something there to explore, but does it need to be, and does it make sense to? Does what you do ruin everything else later? You know, I understand what you think you're doing, but it's not a good idea to do that. I mean, you know, it'd even be better if you just followed around Travis Bickle when he was in Vietnam doing atrocities. That would be better, because then you'd at least go, oh, okay, now I understand this character a little bit more. He's a bad guy who is heralded as a hero. It's all commentary on Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, people that have slipped through the system, the cracks in the system, and are losing it.
Also, our weird obsession with crime, which is commentary throughout the 80s. Look at the character specifically from Highlander with all the fucking guns, the vigilante asshole who sees them fighting in the alley. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is Travis Bickle, essentially. Who we herald as a hero in that era for their vigilante justice is a total villain.
To expand on what their mindset was for making this game, requiring an input of certain button combinations that the player has to perform, you can dispatch enemies with long, violent executions that are drawn out. Not only are you double wielding and you're hitting people with your taxi and ignoring physics like a normal GTA kind of thing would do, but to do that kind of thing, it reminds you of a Postal video game or what that
Kyle Rittenhouse one, yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah.
God.
Thankfully, this one didn't make it to production.
Thank God.
And
As sad as it is, it'd be a better narrative and would make more sense to do the Richard Ramirez game or the Green Valley Killer or something like that, where it's like, oh, we don't know how many people they killed, so it's open-ended, so you could do that. A terrible idea and a horrible thing about society.
Awful ideas.
But it would make more sense. At least it would make sense. This doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't. And I'm glad it didn't happen.
Me too. And going back to the Star Wars thing, I would rather play a game where you get to play as Vader in Return of the Jedi, and you get to decide when you kill the Emperor or if you kill the Emperor. There's like a moment of choice there that's actually well written, and this is all bad. This is all really bad.
Yeah. Sorry to bring it down.
No, it's a fascinating genre.
Yeah, it's a little rabbit hole I kind of found that...
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it to you and to the podcast audience. These games, it's like if you did, when they used to do movie novelizations for everything, which
Sure.
I don't know if are even a thing anymore.
Yeah, they still are, for sure.
But instead you just did little what-ifs. What if you did Taxi Driver, but that was only half of the book, the actual movie, and then the other half was like, well, Bickle survives and he goes on to just murder wantonly. You just read about his gory exploits on the streets of New York.
Well, the thing about movie novelizations, and I know this specifically from a lot of Star Trek adaptations, a lot of times when movie novelizations come out, they are based on initial drafts of scripts or initial concepts of the film, not the final product. And so those do vary. And in specifically Roddenberry, when he wrote Star Trek the Motion Picture, the novelization, he went out of his way to try and counter a lot of the stuff that they did in the movie because they had kicked him off the project. And so he wanted to do it his own way or whatever. So that's because they don't have a knowledge beforehand of how the narrative shapes up. But this, they already know how it goes.
Yep.
They already know what's going to happen in the end game. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You know, it reminds me of a little bit, well, in that specific scenario, when I was a kid, Ghostbusters 2 was about to come out, or had just come out, right? And so they had these tie-in things. Specifically, they had this enormous, like 17 by 11 Ghostbusters 2 coloring book. And whomever they had outsourced the artwork to had never seen Ghostbusters and was only going by descriptions. And so I'm leafing through it, and Ray Stantz has a giant Tom Selleck mustache. And Peter Venkman looks like Paul Giamatti. They obviously had no idea what they were doing. They were just going by the premise, not understanding the heart and the point of the thing. Right?
Kind of like the Ghanaian movie posters.
Sure, yes, absolutely. Or like the original Star Trek comic books, where they had flames flying out of the back of the nacelles because they didn't know what the fuck was going on, and everyone was dressed in like purple and shit. You know, like they don't know what the fuck it is. They just, or Jack Kirby's 2001: A Space Odyssey, or hell, his Star Wars. Yeah, we're not allowed to tell you what this is about. Here's a premise, go for it. You know. It's just, but at least those people had an excuse for being blind to the actual source material. These people, for decades, had known the source material. There's no excuse for that. There are ways you could make those games interesting, but they're going about it the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess that's it.
Anyway, yeah. This is a fascinating take.
It is.
A little video game...
Apocrypha? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. A little slice that was, I found a little sweet and sour. So
maybe do the one where it's you're Jesus, but then you get to like fight back, and you get like a gun, and you get to kill the Romans. You turn the spear around on Pontius Pilate.
I have to imagine there's some...
Oh, right. There's no fucking way. They'd get shut down so fast.
Oh, I'm sure there's some independent...
Oh, there's some like indie zines and stuff where I've seen where they deal with that stuff, but it's not like major video games. That is interesting, though. Yeah, It's a little like Tim Burton's Batman, where they make the Joker to the person that killed his parents, which is completely the opposite of the point of his entire character. It's like to adapt it to a different medium, they totally missed the point. And thankfully that movie is good and it works, but I mean, it doesn't really make sense to the character if you think about it. Those video games don't make sense to the characters, but they also don't work. So.
Truth.
All right. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. That's a good one.
Yeah. We hope you all enjoyed it as well. Learned a little something today.
About sharing.
About sharing. And how it is not caring.
Not in the cynical world of these video games. Not at all.
If you guys are junkies or punkers.
Or warriors. Or droogs.
Speaking of Jews,
Oh,
click
no.
on that link I sent. Did you see it?
Oh, yes. I thought you were going to say there was a video game for it.
Oh.
Okay, if you want to do an open world video game that's violent like that, do Clockwork Orange instead.
Here,
That's a big dick, dude. That is a big fucking dick.
That's special.
And that's not the dick from the movie. That is not the dick from the movie.
It's a good big
No,
dick.
that needs to go on a wall. Yep.
Nice big cock.
Oh, and it's funny when you scroll over and it zooms in on the giant fucking dick.
Yeah.
Glorious.
All right. Well, please like, share, subscribe to this podcast if you do enjoy it, which we hope you do. Please follow us on social media, which we will do something in someday, maybe. If you wouldn't mind rating us 5 Tony Montanas on the podcast app of your choice.
5 little friends.
Podcast. Give us 5 little friends. We'd greatly appreciate it, and we shall see you again in the near future. Isn't that right, Skip?
Well, that is... make sure you have cleaned up all the cocaine off of your desk. Please make sure you have snorted an obscene amount of it. Make sure that F. Murray Abraham, the famous Latino gangster, knows of your whereabouts. Make sure you've paid your tabs, cleaned up after yourselves, obviously. Get all that snuff off your face. And make sure you support your local comic shops and retailers. And from Dispatch Ajax, we would like to say Godspeed, fair wizards.
Indeed.
Please, go away.